So, why you need to push your limits as an autistic. So this is going to be a controversial one because a lot of autistics, they don't push their mental and physical limits. And the bad thing about that is you don't have a baseline. You don't have a baseline of where you should be. So for example, it's like, okay, I'm always down here because I've never actually exceeded the limits. Where if you sometimes exceed that limit, well, you're going to be better off. So today I'm going to get into how this can actually benefit you as an autistic. So let's get straight into the video.
Get to know me personally with my one-on-one coaching. First call is absolutely free, so check that link out in the description after this video.
So the first reason as to why pushing your limits is a good thing is because then you have a greater understanding, and then you might be able to push those boundaries a little bit more next time. So for example, when you go to the gym, you might not just stay at one weight if you're doing hypertrophy training or building muscle. You will try to add a little bit more weight next time because your body will be able to handle it better. So if you are never pushing yourself, never pushing your boundaries or pushing your limits, you're never actually going to build up that mental resilience or even physical resilience, such as bodybuilding. Well, you're never ever going to exceed a certain point because you're not pushing yourself anymore. You're not trying to get that next level. So for example, maybe 2 years ago, your limit was here. Now that you've done so much pushing and you've pushed your limits a lot and really maybe burnt out a lot, well, then you might end up being 2 years later, you'll be here, your limit will be here. So then you can do a little bit more and you can do more than what you could before, which is always a good thing. Where if you just stay at one point and you never try to exceed that limit and you never try to push your boundaries, well, you're just never gonna pass that point, and then you might potentially still be at this point 2 years from now, which is never a good thing because you want to be progressing all the time in life. You want to be pushing yourself. So that gets me into the second point with the way you perceive exceeding your limits. So at the moment, you might have the perception of, oh, exceeding your limits is a bad thing. If I do exceed my limits, then I feel like crap and I feel like I don't want to do it again and it feels like it's the end of the world. Well, you need to change that perspective because at the end of the day, you should be proud of exceeding your limits because you know you've done that and you have exceeded the limit, instead of being upset that you're burnt out or you're tired. Because if you're upset about being burnt out and tired and, oh, now I can't do anything, well, then you're not like pushing yourself forward in any way. So what's the point of thinking like that? Where you could just, you know, you've hit your limit, you understand that you've hit your limit, and that's what I have done this week or the past 5 or 6 days. So I've been pushing myself a bit too hard since Saturday, and I realized today, I was like, okay, it's time to have a break. It's time to just relax. It's time to take a day off work because I was just working like a dog, working like a madman. So you should never feel disappointed. You should never feel upset. You should never let the tiredness affect your emotions. Because if you do let the tiredness and the feeling of being burnt out affect your emotions, then it's going to have more control over you than what you have control of your limit, if you know what I mean by that. So for example, I go over my limit, I get upset about it, well then I've just lost all control, because even though I've pushed my limits and I understood I pushed my limits, I'm still letting the emotion of the tiredness get to me, which is a hard thing. It's hard to disconnect from the emotion of being tired or being burnt out. But that brings me to the third point, which is this is the most important point actually, and it's to do with your appreciation and being appreciative of, for example, right now, today I'm talking to the camera. I love talking to the camera, or just the day in general, you know, I'm having a day off today. It makes you appreciate the days where you can just put your foot off the gas. Because the day that you have now, the day that you have today that's relaxing, if you had those days every day where you are relaxing and you are not pushing your limits, well then it's just another day. It's just another day that goes away from you. Where the days where you've been pushing and working hard, well now you can appreciate a day like today. For me, I bring value to the day because I paid the price for that value. So money is valuable just because we perceive it to be valuable. But if humans didn't think it was valuable, then it wouldn't be worth anything. Just like the day. Well, I could be relaxed every day and have a nice chill day every day. Well, then that day's not going to mean anything to me because the day doesn't hold any value, because I haven't sacrificed putting the money into anything else, such as working a little bit harder. And that's why it's a good thing to work hard, and why you should, because then it makes you appreciate things. So to recap, what do you need to do to feel better about every day and feel good? Well, all you have to do is just work a little bit harder. All you have to do is maybe just push your limits a little bit more, so that on the days you have off, they don't just feel like another day. They feel like a day you can appreciate. They feel like a day you can take in, and you feel like you've deserved the day. You don't feel like, oh yeah, it's just another day and I just want to feel good about the day. Well, that's sometimes not the case. Some days you're going to have unhappy days. Some days you're going to have happy days. But if you work a little bit harder and maybe push yourself a little bit, then you're going to be able to handle that more. You're going to be able to handle the pressure more without emotionally breaking down. And that's my point. When you start to level up this area, you'll get to a point where maybe my emotional threshold, it might be all the way up here now, but before it was down here 2 years ago, because I didn't have that control. I had that doubt. I didn't understand how to control all these things. But now I've increased it so much that I can push myself. I can just work a little bit harder. I can work overtime. I can just go through it without feeling upset or sad or emotionally unstable. So anyway, I think that's the end of this video. So like and subscribe to watch more educational content about autism and how to be a more independent young man on the autism spectrum. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you want a coaching call to help you improve and regulate your emotions better. Anyway, thank you.